cactus juice. It'll quench you. Nothing's quenchier. It's the quenchiest.
Hello there. Don't want to make anyone wait any longer, so real quick, welcome to Reddita, where we shamelessly ask you to subscribe and like the video if you enjoy it, and where we say to smash the bell and hate ourselves for it, while we go down an existential crisis mentally that slowly eats away at you day after day, video after video, late night of editing after late night of editing, until one day they find you on the roof barking at traffic with your underwear on your head blasting turn down for what from a speaker stuck in your whoa, sorry, blacked out there for a second. Anyway, on with the video. Enjoy. What is a survival myth that is completely wrong and could get you killed? Need to wait 24 hours to report a missing person. If you think someone is missing, report it as such. The faster a missing person report is filed, the greater the chance the person will be found. Especially if it's a child. Missing children are at high risk during the first 24 hours, especially if abducted. In 76% of child abduction murders, the victim was dead within 3 hours. 88.5% were dead in the first 24 hours. Edit. Source. It's actually a felony in some states to fail to report a child missing after a certain amount of time. Edit. Katie's Law. The YouTube videos on how to unarm an attacker from close range. You'll die before you can yell yee-haw. Yeah, if you have not trained extensively in real self-defense, you should never try to fight an armed opponent. Just give them what they want or run. Those videos usually have the person letting the moves be put on them very easily, when in reality a lot of those moves need to be executed at extremely fast speed with practiced precision. Otherwise you will just end up in a wrestling match against someone with a knife, which usually won't end well. There's a video of a soldier showing how to win in a knife fight. The countdown starts and as soon as possible he just books it. If you ever find yourself in snake country, make as much noise as possible. Most people want to avoid snakes, so stay quiet. But they are more scared of you than you are of them. Talk loudly. Stomp. But obviously keep an eye and ear out for any fellas who don't want you to be there. Source. Australian. Except for the death ladder, which will lie there and ignore 19 people stepping over it, then bite the 20th one who has the bad luck to step on it. Easy solution. Just get bit by a death subtractor. If you have to forage for food, avoid mushrooms entirely. Odds are so slim you will find an edible kind that you're much better off looking for things like nuts, seeds, and berries. Edit. This is not a myth. This is the truth. They also hold negligible amounts of calories, so even if you are knowledgeable about fungi it still isn't worth it. Guess the only scenario where you might go for it is if you have knowledge on edible mushrooms and stumble upon a grove full of them. Don't eat snow to stay hydrated if you're in a winter survival situation. Losing the heat to the snow while eating it is more dangerous than dehydration. Heat it up or let it melt in a container first to lose less heat. Wear a seatbelt. There's myths about it being bad if you go into a lake or there's a fire. But 1. That is an incredibly tiny proportion of car crashes, and 2. If you're in that situation, you're far more likely to be knocked out and die of inaction if you're not wearing a seatbelt. I know this is a mundane tip, but you're far more likely to be in a life-threatening car crash than be stabbed or be in a falling elevator. Wear a seatbelt. Wear your ducking seatbelt. Apparently passengers can smash into other passengers when they are not wearing seatbelts. Rescue breaths are wildly overrated in most movies and TV shows. You'll see someone in cardiac arrest, and the rescuer will stop giving compressions and focus on breathing into a person's mouth and blammo. Awake. Alert. Alive. No. Don't do that. Your body does store a fairly decent amount of oxygen in its blood at all times. If someone in front of you ODs and their mouth is covered with saliva, vomit, or someone collapses in front of you with a suspected cardiac arrest, your plan of action is twofold. Are they breathing? Do they have a pulse? This is easy to duck up, especially in a moment of panic. My rule, as an EMS provider, is that if you don't feel it in 10 seconds, it's not there. Start compressions. If they are not in cardiac arrest, they will let your ass know, and the law covers you under Good Samaritan clauses in most of these cases. If you are the only person attending to this body, Do not stop and give rescue breaths if help is on the way and will be there soon. It takes about 4-7 decent compressions to get blood recirculating in the body after stopping to give mouth to mouth. That's a lot of blood, carrying a lot of vital oxygen reserves that aren't making it to the brain. Obviously, if you're a long way out from help and you feel safe to do so, give rescue breaths. But it should never be priority number one. I work in an ER. A patient went suddenly unresponsive after standing up to get onto a cart. We weren't sure if we felt a pulse or not, but our 10 seconds was up. So my co-worker started compressions. Or I should say, compression. Singular. She delivered a single, high quality compression. And he immediately screamed and threw his arms and legs up. Turns out his BP dropped when he stood up, causing him to pass out. And was so low, we couldn't even feel a carotid pulse. I told that co-worker I want her doing my compressions should I ever need them. The opposite of One Punch Man. Herbivorous animals are friendly and peaceful, so you are safe being around them and their presence will show you where food is. Seriously, everything from cows to deer and will kill you if you make it angry. It is usually a good idea if you are in the wilds not to get near any large wild animal. But herbivores can often be even more aggressive than the predators. If a predator attacks you, you have a fairly good chance of scaring it off. Especially if it's smaller than you, because it's likely only looking for food. If a herbivore attacks you, you're ducked because it genuinely wants to kill you. If it's a predator, you just need to convince it that you aren't worth the effort. Especially if it's not too hungry. If it's a herbivore, that's just going to make it want to kill you more. Follow flying birds to find water. They can simply be flying to spend a night anywhere, so we can't rely on them. Fish are the ones you should follow to find water. That's why I always carry a goldfish on desert expeditions. You can hydrate from soda, if that's all you have. Drink it. Fallout New Vegas tells me otherwise. You get a cap though. If you get stabbed with anything, don't pull it out since it could be the thing that preventing you from bleeding out. Instead, immobilize it and go to the hospital where they can stop the bleeding when they remove the object. That knife is in your aorta. If you remove it, you'll bleed to death. Consider that a professional courtesy. Thanks, John. Really appreciate it. One I know of is the myth that you can drink water from a cactus. I heard it's false and you can only drink from a small minority of cacti without having certain health consequences I am not aware of. Suit yourself. It's very thirst quenching. It'll quench ya. The quenchiest.
Drink cactus juice. It'll quench ya. Nothing's quenchier. It's the quenchiest.
Okay, I think you've had enough.
Who lit Tough on fire?
Sucking a snake bite. It will often make it worse. Australian doc here. There is so much misinformation on here. What you want to do is stop the venom from traveling from the site of the bite into the lymphatic system and then into the bloodstream. Do not suck, cut, wash or otherwise investigate the wound. Edit. Do not try to catch or kill the snake. Identifying the kind of snake is not worth the risk of a second bite and the delay in getting to your other priorities. Priority 1, get away from the snake. Priority 2, get help. Get someone nearby to call an ambulance or worst case scenario call yourself. Edit. Leaving this here because it's hilarious. Priority 3, stay still. Moving your muscles is what helps pump the fluid through your lymphatic system and to the lymph nodes, where it can enter the bloodstream quickest. Ideally keep the bite below your heart, but immobilization is the most important thing. Priority 4. If there is someone with you, get them to apply a pressure dressing to tightly compress the whole limb. This can greatly slow the flow of lymph and buy you hours. Typo corrected from LB. Edit. I can only speak for what to do. Australian snakes. Other areas obviously have different species and perhaps correspondingly different guidelines. If you are doing outdoorsy crap in other continents, make sure you know basic first aid relevance to that specific location. Australian doc here. The Australian part is the more pertinent credential. Not quite a survival myth but interesting nonetheless. Paradoxical undressing. It is when you are hypothermic but still remove your clothes. Explains why dead people are sometimes found naked out in snowy ranges. It is usually during the final stages of hypothermia, and the theory is that your blood vessels give up on constricting blood flow to your skin peripheries, so you suddenly feel super warm and remove all your clothes, which in turn causes you to die quicker. Apparently slowly freezing to death starts at being cold with rising pain, then going numb, then getting pain bursts and shocks from your nerves glitching out, then a period of feeling nothing. Then as your body gives up, a second even worse burst of pain hits all your nerves for a certain amount of time. Then everything ceases and you slowly freeze to death. I always felt like freezing to death would be a quick and painless way to die, cause one would just slowly fall asleep. Guess that was a myth too.
It's the quenchiest!
Whoa, you made it to the end? Nice. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and like. I'm a new channel, and it helps a lot more than you think. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.